So what we want to do now is see how these new latches we got fit right here on the battery box. That gets riveted there. The latch comes up, gets locked down like so, and there you have it. You may need to probably a little sealer goes under here. It'll tighten that up when we get it all done. Taking our Sharpie and marked a couple of spots there where the rivets go. We'll drill a couple of holes here, see what we got. I think what we'll do, we'll get a Cleco and we'll fasten that down before we drill the second hole. I'm just going to need a seal around the inside edge of that lid for that latch to tighten up a little bit. But at the end of the day, that's how it works. We spent a little bit of time today working on what's called the tub. This is the section that bolts to the front of the bulkhead. There's two layers of wood here that are sandwiched together with some screws, and then that whole mechanism gets a gasket between it and the bulkhead and bolts to the bulkhead. And you can see over here we get the gasket in just right. There's a gap here, and that's where this top cover fits down in that gap. Otherwise, the body is nice and tight right to the gasket, and the hood sits on there and gives you a nice line. So we've got that all figured out. We got the dash support in. We just kind of hung the dash in there, good a place as any to store it. We've got it all put together except for the speedometer. We need a couple more pieces for the speedometer. But we've got the trim around it and got it finished, and it's starting to look nice. We've figured out where all this internal bracing goes. Got all the brackets painted up. This is just like a big jigsaw puzzle. You just got to keep looking at things, figure out where they go. Look for these marks that can show you where things were bolted to other things. We've got one more bracket that needs to go in here, and it's a steering column support bracket that goes in here. We just painted that, so we're just waiting on that to dry. But really didn't want to start on this tub yet, but had all these pieces laying around. It's a nice change of pace to work on something a little different, so that's what we did. thought it was time to dig the engine out, get it up on the engine stand so we can spend a little time cleaning it up, making sure that it's in okay condition, and maybe we'll get a little closer to sticking it in the car. A little 1250 cc 4-cylinder engine, not very complicated. I think we'll be able to clean it up a little bit. It's only got 40,000 miles on it. Carburetors are off, but we got them over in the corner, and we'll get them bolted back on. Get this valve cover cleaned up. I think originally these valve covers were painted aluminum. They also make an aluminum valve cover for them, but that's outside our budget. Looks pretty good inside, really. Got the nuts off. Not a lot of sludge. I mean, obviously it's not clean, but looks pretty tidy actually. I think we'll be all right with this motor. Gonna do some work on the front mount here, and we've got a broken bolt in the fan. We're going to get that out of there and get that cleaned up. I'm sure that fan needs to be cleaned and painted, and we'll get working on it and make it look like something. Pulled the valve cover and stripped it down and painted it a more original color. This engine, I think back when this car was new, had a grayish valve cover and then a dark gray block. Somebody's come along later on, painted this thing red, so we're trying to clean it up and get some of the red paint off. Has a nice aluminum sump on the bottom that somebody painted, so I think we'll just get all the paint off it and leave it aluminum. We've got these twin SU carbs that, boy, they're kind of ugly inside, and we're going to have to spend some time on them, take them apart, go through them. But just a little diversion from the rest of the work, and right now we're going to pull the fan off the front and get all the ugly paint off it and put some black paint on it. I think will suffice for that. And we'll just slowly but surely get this engine cleaned up. We'll get the plugs out of it and see if we can't get it to turn over, put a little oil down the cylinders. Just work. We've been monkeying around with our seat and seat frames. Took and sandblasted the seat frames. They're not in really good condition, but they're pretty expensive if you got to replace them, so I think we can make these work. Got our steering column in place. Got to clean it up a little bit more. We've got our battery box lid in place and painted, and the catch is riveted on. We've got to do the toolbox compartment next. We have just a whole pile of 5-minute jobs. We also dug out the bodywork. This is the scuttle, I guess they call it, on top of the top piece of bodywork for the car. Kind of got it fitted in where it goes. We can see how it's going to work. It's just kind of fitted in there, and we've got the dash screwed in place. Come around here, put some light on it. Got the tack in place, and I think we've got it functional. We still got to work on the speedometer, but it's starting to actually look like something, which is important because it makes it a lot easier to work on. And obviously this will have to come all apart again, but at least now we know how it goes together and what goes where.